Hi everybody and welcome to Tiny Tips for Power BI. In our last tiny tip, I created my template page. So I have my blank and then I could duplicate it and recreate it. But now I want to get into some of the meat of my data. And one of the things that I have going on here is all of my data is stored in one giant flat table, and that's not the most efficient way to do things. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the query editor, and here's the query editor with my big giant flat table. And it actually has, a little hard to see, but it actually has 25, there we go, 25 columns of data, and that data includes sales information. And it also includes some of the customer information that might actually be some duplicated information. So we probably want to bring that out as well, along with we've got some contact information here. So I think what I'd like to do is separate out the customer information, maybe even separate out manufacturer, product code, and the product line. I've got some date information. I probably need that in a separate table. So I could do some time intelligence pieces, and then I have my sales. And the sales part looks good. We have an order number, quantity, a unit price, a line number. So if you have an invoice with two products on it, for example, the line number will keep it distinct. And then I have the total. And so I have my sales here, and what I want to do is I'm going to just bring in this data one time. So I don't want to duplicate or pull in the information from this particular table or wherever the source is more than one time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reference this particular query. So I'm only bringing in the data as I mentioned one time. And we'll start with order information. So over here on the left, I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to click on reference, and I'm going to rename this to orders. Actually, let's make it sales orders. So now we have our sales orders, and I have still all 25 columns. I do not need that. So I'm going to click on choose columns, which is my favorite way to reduce the columns. And actually what I've been ending up doing is Belinda's 3 rules. Rename the query to something that makes sense to the end user. Get rid of unnecessary columns, and I don't need a lot of these. I need the order number, quantity, unit price, order line number. I'm going to go ahead and get the total because there may be a discount there. I don't know. I'm going to get the order date, and I'm going to get the status, and I'm going to get the customer. And let's see, I also need the product. So let me narrow down to just these 3 and see, or to those 3 as well, and see if I need all of these. So I have the product line, the manufacturer. All I need is the product code. So I'm going to come back in. This is why I love using choose column. And I'm going to remove the product line and the manufacturer and just get the product code. And now these 9 fields represent my invoice, basically, my sales. And then Belinda's 3rd rule is I change the item type to be correct. And because the item type here is how it's going to act and react. So I've got whole number, quantity. Actually, I might end up with a decimal at some point. And I could change it here, but a smarter move might be to come into sales and change the quantity to a decimal here. And then I'm going to come back in. And so I'm just checking for the columns that I want. And so those all look good. Now the order date, I only want that to be a date. And by changing it here, I will actually change it anywhere it references. So if I use this over and over again, it'll be done. And notice all my steps are being tracked right here. And then I have the status, the product code. These are both text. And the customer is text. And while I'm at it, I don't like the fact that that customer name has a lower c because all of my other fields look really good. And so this is one way I could use creating references. And what I'm going to actually do is come up to sales, and I'm going to right mouse click and unmark enable the load. Now I haven't used it on any query yet, so I'm not going to lose any data. So I'll click on continue. And that way the sales will not be part of my data model, but it's just used for refresh. And actually I'm going to go ahead and name that too. Sales original query. And then I have my sales orders. I'm going to change that to sales. So now that makes a little more sense. And that's it for this query. I am in the background going to go through and create more references for the product line and for the customer. Oh, actually, look, we also need the deal size. So let me come back into sales. I'm going to come back to my removed other columns, and I'm going to get the deal size because that would be unique to the sales order. All right, cool. See you on the next tiny tip. I hope this helps.